Mitch Miller. It is Wednesday, March 1st at 1:31 p.m. Eastern Time, USA, 1331. In the year 2023, this is my video journal. So, talked about tort reform on the last one. I want to talk about a device. It's probably already been thought of, but it could help with the legalization of all controlled substances recreationally in the United States. It just has to do with what we consider freedom when it comes to substances that could potentially kill you, like alcohol, but primarily talking about painkillers such as Oxycontin and stimulants like cocaine, right? We could hypothetically legalize these in the United States. I'm an advocate for this. I advocated for it in my book, Fem Party. I said we should make it into teas so that we could control it a little bit better. I'm more for the organic type of situation. And so here's my thought process. When people can afford their booze and cigarettes, right? When people can afford their alcohol and cigarettes, there's no issue. They don't rob anybody. They don't murder anybody. They don't assault anybody. People are pretty happy when they can afford their booze and cigarettes. So if alcohol and cigarettes are at an affordable price, you don't have a lot of crime associated with it. Now, we did raise the price of cigarettes quite substantially in this country, but that seemed to be all right. So if you legalize other drugs, then the crime related to those drugs will decline and possibly even diminish completely. But I want to talk about this device. It's probably already been thought of, and it might even be deployed in some countries. We have the technology now to have fingerprint identification. So the device I'm talking about, it has a smart component to it, but it does not necessarily connect wirelessly to anything as far as the internet or anything like that. It's a device, so you have a container that you keep pills in. These are usually plastic. We go through billions of them a year. This one is a metal container. There's a cap that goes on top of it, and it's a smart cap. And what it does is when you put your finger on the cap, it identifies the person who owns the prescription to the pills. You turn the device upside down, it distributes one pill, the required dosage, or 2 pills, whatever the required dosage is for that hour. So say you were prescribed Oxycontin to take one every 6 hours, 1 pill every 6 hours. There's a timer on it. When you put your finger on it, it distributes 1 pill every 6 hours. It's a smart cap. Distributes it to the person the Oxycontin was prescribed to, and it has a timer, shows you when you can distribute the pill again. It plugs into a wall charger so you can charge it up, and I don't know, maybe Big Pharma with their 1,400% profit could develop these devices as a safety measure. If not, maybe the government could. But you take that device to a pharmacy. They have a special tool that unlocks the cap. You can't get into the container without the special tool, possibly an unlocking code, or maybe the pharmacists themselves put their fingerprint on it and it allows it to unlock. The container, the metal container, could be put through some kind of sterilization process every time it's taken to the pharmacy, and then the smart container and cap are filled with the new pills, and you're ready, your prescription's ready, right? So it's a smart pill distribution device. I have the patent numbers for the components of this device. If you'd like those patent numbers, I acquired them while I was in a mental hospital for a much larger device. So this device could be used on the recreational side, right? If you legalize, again, I think organic teas are the way to go, but we have a pharmaceutical industry with their hands in everything, so they want to refine it down, make it potent and powerful, and that's what people may want when they legalize recreationally these pills. So you could hypothetically achieve a high every 6 hours off of OxyContin that lasts 4 to 6 hours, right, off one pill. So whatever, you could calculate what a buzz or a significant high is for people to use cocaine pills or OxyContin pills, and then you could have those recreational smart cap and device designs so that it distributes it every so often, right? If you're addicted to OxyContin heroin, if you get your fix every 6 hours, your body doesn't go through the withdrawal symptoms, and you don't go out and kill somebody, murder somebody to get more drugs. So you can even incorporate methadone into the system so that while they're at work during the day, they take a methadone pill in the morning, and their body isn't going through withdrawals while they're at work, right? There's a whole slew of things you have to take into account if you legalize these drugs. But going back to my tort reform thing, where you have an account where you say, I know all the side effects, for legalization of these drugs, you could require people to sit in a special course to get certified, to get their license to have these drugs, OxyContin, cocaine, where it shows how addictive these drugs are. Once you start taking them, you're not going to be able to quit them easily, and so on and so forth, so that we have informed citizens and things like that. Now we can take it to other extremes. We could have marijuana. We could have THC pills if we wanted, or the high derived from THC and CBD. And instead of having the flower form and gummies and candies and stuff, you could just have the pill form of marijuana and have these special smart devices, right? So we can take spam risk there, call on me. We can take this to all extremes. You could even, people don't like to be regulated. So our idea of freedom is we can do whatever we want in excess, as long as it doesn't affect other people, right? So we can even look at this for alcohol, right? Alcohol can kill somebody if they have too much. So technically, it depends on how extreme and how involved you want to get with this, and that's why I'm giving this example for if you legalized other drugs. But we now have the technology where waiters and waitresses, bartenders can carry around a device to charge your card for drinks and things like that. It would be easy to implement a system whereby every time someone orders a drink at a bar or a restaurant, you scan their ID and you mark how many drinks they had, the one drink or two drinks. Each person individually tracked by their ID how many drinks they had in an hour, in the 2 hours during dinner. This would be helpful for police officers, obviously, because it would be part of an incorporated system where they could then, if they pulled that person over driving, could scan their ID and see how many drinks they had, how long ago. Still give them the breathalyzer, they might pass that, but it could show, this person only had 2 drinks in 2 hours at the restaurant. I'm not even going to bother breathalyzing them. And you can still say somebody can buy a case of beer and drink in excess in the privacy of their own home. But if they're at a bar or restaurant, I'm not saying that there would be a cutoff, even though bartenders are supposed to cut off visibly intoxicated people. It would just simply track how many drinks each person had. Now, the Restaurant Association probably wouldn't like this policy. They want to sell as many drinks as possible, but it's an idea. We have controlled substances for a reason. They're called controlled substances, and we can develop the devices to better control these substances so that people don't overdose and die from certain drugs and alcohol, which is a drug also. And then if you might say people, it would reduce the suicide from these substances, but somebody could figure out how to bust into the device if they really wanted to commit suicide. This would be a distribution method that is safer. People could still get high off take a cocaine pill every 2 hours and feel the stimulant, but it would be a regulated pill form. So this is something that the pharmaceutical industry could divest into if we took away the insulin and the heart medication and the bread and butter drugs that the pharmaceutical industry produces and makes these huge profits on to offset the cost of a hip replacement class action suit and things like that, hernia mesh, all that stuff. If we take those standard drugs away and make them at the pharmaceutical or at the universities, they could then diversify into recreational pharmaceuticals, and it's not there's. I mean, if you have the OxyContin, you're not sharing needles. You don't have all these sharps. This takes all those plastic waste from all those pill containers out of the loop. I think it's a good solution, and that's the idea I came up with when I was at a pharmaceutical executive's house thinking about solutions to their corporation. Again, I'm available to any corporation out there. If you give me your issues and your problems, I'll come back with common sense, simple solutions that we can develop to rectify problems your company faces. I would like to be compensated, but I have enjoyed a certain lifestyle being part of this pharmaceuticals family, even though they have taken advantage of my wage control situation with my criminal record. I've worked very cheap on their houses for them. Another thing I wrote on President's Day, my President's Report, I don't know if President Biden got it or not, but it was a simple 2-page document called Anti-Core, for anti-corruption or anti-corporate corruption, and this is available on the Alma Voter website. I'll talk about it and summarize it next week when I do my next video journal. Thanks for watching today. I think that's all I had as far as legalization of some pharmaceuticals and eliminating other drugs that don't give people a high, give people a buzz. You could eliminate methamphetamine if you had legalized cocaine and amphetamine and ways to distribute that. So as far as that goes, that's a system that we could work, at least in this country, and resolve some of these issues with addiction. Again, I propose a tax for a rehab fund, a national rehab fund that pays for all rehab that would come from marijuana sales, alcohol sales, all sales, so that anybody in the United States can get free rehab as many times as they need it to get off of these drugs. So I think if you offer that blanket, and again, some of these pharmaceutical settlements for the opioid addiction class actions, that's going towards people who lost family members and loved ones due to the addiction as a way to, I guess, compensate them for their loss. But I think that those settlements should go into a centralized free rehab fund for the United States, and that could be open and transparent, a large charity nonprofit that we know there's no waste, no corruption in the distribution of those funds to the rehab centers, and have some of the best rehab centers in the world right here in the United States. Anyhow, thanks for joining me. Join me next week when I talk a little bit more, talk about anti-core, and I'm sure I'll think of some other things that I want to talk about. All right, thanks.